You are tuned into Bethel, bhgtv. Another Bethel House of God ministry.
Enter the Holy of Holies. I enter through the blood of the Lamb. I enter to worship you only. I enter to honor I am. Lord, I worship you. I worship Yeshua, the veil has been parted, and what once was secret is known. Now I can cry to you, Abba, my Father, and praise you as one of your own. Baruch Hashem Adonai. Baruch Hashem Adonai. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Baruch Hashem Adonai. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Baruch Hashem Adonai.
Thank you for tuning into Bethel, BHGTV. Like, share, and subscribe. Now our host, Pastor Johnson.
Greetings, brothers, sisters. How are y'all doing? Man, this is great. This is great. Peace and blessings to all of you all. The subject tonight is the Sabbath, a plan to salvation. That's what it is tonight. I'm glad to be here, with you all. I hope that you can hear me okay. Coach, let me know if everything is okay. She's one of our moderators in the chat room. And in the meantime, I'm going to see who's all in the chat room so we can get started tonight, all right? Let's move this over so we can get everybody over here. We're going to have an awesome lesson tonight. At least that's what we plan to do. So the first person that was here tonight is Brother Landon Johnson, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. And then there's Sister Barbara Benton, West Palm Beach, Florida. There's Brother Abraham Talbert, all the way from St. Mary's, Georgia. All of these are our Bethel family. And our moderator, Sister Coach. How you doing, Sister Coach, from Alabama? All right, let's see who else we have in here. Sister Barbara Shockley. Sister Kay Woods, how y'all doing? Glad to see you here tonight. Warren Dean Teagle, greetings. Thank you for being here. Elizabeth Mack, thank you for being here tonight. Tan Yehuda, thank you for being here tonight. Let's see, who else do we have? Sister Marie, how you doing tonight? Franklin Grant, thank you for being here tonight. Brian Johnson, thank you for being here tonight. Let me move this up so as y'all come in, we can see everybody. Somebody says, okay, sound is good. Okay, great. All right, Coach. All right. We're going to get started, brothers and sisters. Let me move this up so everybody, when you come in, we'll be able to see you coming in for the next few minutes while we have it on this side of the channel. Now, tonight we're talking about, let me get my camera here straightened out. Tonight we're talking about the plan to salvation. We've been talking about a lot of different stuff. We've been talking about the feast days. Going back since Sunday, we told you that we're getting ready to start feast days this week. And this is going to be a very important series, brothers and sisters. You want to tune in. And the reason is because we're going to be talking about the plan to salvation. We've been in debates, dialogues, all that stuff is over with. We need to get on track. We need to get on track because what's happening is we got the feast days coming around. People are trying to keep the feast days. People don't know when to keep the feast days, how to keep the feast days, or any of that, what they mean or anything. So we need to get into this so we can know what people know, let people know what they need to do. We're into another year coming up, and what we want people to do is to know what they're doing. This is not a ritual. This is not just dates that you keep. This is not something that you come into the awakening and, we're supposed to be keeping the feast days. Let's keep them. Let's drop Christmas and Easter and all like that, and let's keep these feast days. You need to know what you're doing, why you're doing them, because these feast days let you know what the Most High is doing. If you can understand these feast days, you know what the God of Israel is doing. A lot of people don't know what the God of Israel is doing because they don't understand his feast days. And if you don't understand his feast days, you do not understand the plan to salvation. It's just that plain, just that simple. So our objective is to help you with that, every last one of us. That's what we want to do tonight. All right? So we're going to go into prayer and we're going to get started. Heavenly Father, we come to you, asking you to let your face shine upon us. We ask that you'll continue to increase our knowledge, our wisdom, and our understanding. Let us continue to seek your word, your truth. We ask that you continue to let the blood of your Son rest and abide upon us, protect us in this pandemic. These things we ask and pray in Jesus' name, amen. All right, let's get started, brothers and sisters. Weekly Sabbath, the plan of salvation. Let's talk about this for a second, because what happens is this. People they don't understand feast days. I find a lot of people do a lot of feast days for a lot of different reasons, and they don't understand them. I found, not everybody, but quite a few. For instance, tabernacles. They think Feast of Tabernacles is about going into a campground, pulling out some tents, standing in it for 7 days and just having a service, and everybody just gathering. It's way, way, way bigger than that. People think the Feast of Unleavened Bread is just eating unleavened bread for 7 days. It's way, way, way bigger than that. A lot of people think that observing the Sabbath has a lot to do only with God resting on the seventh day of creation. It has a lot more, way, 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 way more bigger than that. So this is what you have to understand when we get into this. And we are going to start off. What is the plan to salvation? We're going to show you that it is Leviticus the 23rd chapter. Why Leviticus the 23rd chapter? Because Leviticus the 23rd chapter gives you the Lord's feast days, not the Jews, the Lord's feast days. He gives them to Israel, and they are in chronological order. There's a reason why they are in chronological order that they're in, because they tell a story. They have an intro and an ending. Okay? You're going to find that everything starts with the blood of Christ and ends with the blood of Christ. Everything starts with Christ and ends with Christ. And that's what you're going to find out in these feast days. So the first thing we're going to do, brothers and sisters, we're going to go over to Leviticus. Leviticus the 11th chapter. Leviticus the 11th chapter. And we're going to start off with verse number 1. This is Leviticus the 23rd chapter, verse number 1. Now, I want to say this. Before you ask any question, let's get through the lesson. Coach, I want to teach tonight. If somebody comes in trying to teach in the chat room, put them in timeout. Ask them to hold off, put them in timeout. They don't get it, you know what to do from there. Because I'm going to be serious about this, brothers and sisters. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, Coach. I'm going to be very serious about this. This is, out of everything that you learn about your awakening, even more than you being a Hebrew, the people of the book, is to understand the plan to salvation. If you can understand this plan, you will get to salvation. You would know the timing of God's work. And that's what's going to be important tonight. This is not a one-night lesson. This is going to be a series. And it's going to be for serious students who really want to know. That's what it's going to be for. And it's one of the most sincere topics that you can ever acquire in the book. Salvation is what we all are trying to obtain. And trying to obtain salvation works better when you understand the plan to salvation. So I'm going to show you. You may not understand right away why are these feast days the plan to salvation. You're not going to get it in one night. You're not going to get it in 2 lessons. You're not going to get it in 2 weeks. It's going to take time. But once you get it, the dots will connect. The lines will connect. The light bulbs will come on, and you will say, wow, God is a mathematic God. He is. He's very mathematic. You'll understand everything from a chronological, systemic order in the way the Most High works. It's going to be as awakening as it was when you came into the knowledge of the people of the book. Believe you me, because this is what gets you to the kingdom. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord. Now these are not the feast of the Jews. These are the feasts of the Lord. I don't care who you are. If you believe in the Most High God of Israel, you should understand this. I don't care who you are. You can be the children of Israel. You can be, I don't care who you are, but you need to understand this. These are the feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocation. Even these are my feasts. First of all, a holy convocation means it's a gathering. The reason why it's holy is because the Most High appointed it. Once the God of Israel appoints something, once he gives it, it's what makes it holy. Even these are my feasts. That's going to be important to know. I'm going to check in the chat room every now and then. I'm going to ask you if you understand what we just brought out, this level. I want you to put the number 1 in the chat room. These are the feasts of the Lord. These are not Mosaic. These are not Moses appointed. This is the God of Israel speaking. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak to those children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which you shall proclaim. When you proclaim something, that means you acknowledging it. You are recognizing it to be holy convocations. And a holy convocation is a gathering. That's what that word convocate means, to convene. These don't mean that if you can convene, you need to convene. And you're not convening for just a regular convening like you would a family reunion or an anniversary or anything like that. These are holy. And they're holy because the God of Israel appointed it. Even these are my feasts. Now this is important to understand. Look at the first one that he gives us, brothers and sisters. The first one. I don't know why anybody fights against the Sabbath. But he says, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. You should do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord. in all your dwellings. It's not the Sabbath of the Jews, it's the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. And this is going to be important to understand. This is going to be important to know because it's the Sabbath. And the Sabbath is telling a story. The Sabbath starts off the story. The Sabbath starts off the story. Now, I'm going to cover the Sabbath tonight and tomorrow night. It is very important that when I cover the Sabbath, I must address an issue that I can't avoid, I can't get away from, I gotta hit it. And that's dealing, when is the Sabbath? When is the Sabbath? And he's telling us 6 days shall work be done. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. Brothers and sisters, that's why we're on a 7-day cycle. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. 6 days you work. The 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord. It's a holy convocation. What do? We convene. We're meant, we're directed, we're instructed to convene. This is why either we have we're in the land of captivity. We understand that. There is no temple. We understand that. However, what we do is that we have places that we gather for the particular purposes of convening, having a holy convocation. That's why we do it. Bethel is fortunate. We own a whole block. We've got 4 structures within that block. 4 structures within that block. We have our main building where we come in and that's where we do our learning, and we have our service there. We have another building that we don't use, but we rent it out. It's a commercial building. We rent that out. We have a house that's what we've converted into a dining hall. That's where we eat at. That's where our offices are. And then we have another residence that is a resident that one of our members stays at and rents there. Now, when it comes to the Sabbath, we convene. We come together. Not during COVID, because it's during COVID and we got issues. Everybody knows that. But what we do is we come together and we convene. Why? It's in holy convocation. If we don't stay home, sometimes we're in predicaments where we have to work. You do the best that you can because we know we're in the land of captivity. But you do the best that you can as you're on that job, as you come into the knowledge of the truth, to try to get your Sabbath off for the purpose of convening. That's important that you convene, because these are the instructions of the Lord. This is what he gave Israel. I want you to convene. That's why that convocation comes in. Don't do any work. It's the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Now, this is important. I want to address this being on a rotating cycle. I've got several emails. Several people have jumped in the chat room and they try to say, you're doing the Sabbath wrong. Every now and then I've blocked people because they want me to discuss it right there and then when I'm teaching another lesson. Well, for all of you people, I'm doing this tonight. I'm going to address that lunar Sabbath versus the rotating 7th day Sabbath. Every 7 days we are to rotate and have a Sabbath. The lunar Sabbath is bad teaching, and I'm going to show that tonight because it messes up the plan to salvation. So we're going to deal with that tonight, brothers and sisters, because if you don't understand that it must be on a 7-day cycle, you're not going to get it. Trust me, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it because you don't understand that everything has to be on a cycle of 7 days and repeating itself because it's important. All right, so we're going to get into this, and it's not going to sit well with some people. I understand that, but I'm going to stay in the Scripture. And you're going to understand why it's important to know when the Sabbath is and when it really exists. Now, we're going to go over to Exodus, the 31st chapter. Exodus, the 31st chapter. And we're going to go to verse 12. Exodus, the 31st chapter, verse 12. All right? And this is what it says. Verse 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths, that's plural, ye shall keep. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doeth sanctify you. Sanctify means, brothers and sisters, to set apart. I have set you apart. He doesn't care what the rest of the world does. He doesn't care about what the pagans do. He don't care about what nobody else does. He's telling the children of Israel, this is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord that doeth sanctify you. Okay? So let's keep going. Ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Now, this is not just for the Old Testament days. It's in order for today, right now also. Right now it's there. Okay? Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. This is the Scripture. This is the Lord talking to Moses to give to the children of Israel. Look at verse 15. 6 days may work be done, but in the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, holy unto the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Here is a cycle, brothers and sisters. This is a 7-day cycle that was set up in the very beginning by the Lord himself, by the God of Israel. This is a cycle. If anybody else brings to the table any other cycle, it's not given by the Lord. This is given by the Lord. This is his cycle that he gave. Okay? Look at verse 16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations. Check this out. For a perpetual covenant. That means without ending, forever. Okay? That's what it's for. We can't change that. It goes for even today also. So I don't care what anybody else says, what anybody else is throwing on the table. I don't care what nobody else says. I care only about what the God of Israel is saying. I don't care what somebody says that, the 3rd generation forefathers. I don't care about the 3rd generation and the 4th century, 3rd century and the 4th century fathers. I almost fell out of my seat when I was asked that question when I was on Berean TV. Well, what about, are you going against the fathers, our fathers of the 3rd and 4th generation? The 3rd and 4th century of what they established? This is established way back then. I don't care what was established way back then. I don't care what Constantine brought to the table. I don't care what they're taught in mainstream Christianity. I don't care what they're taught in seminary school. I don't care what people say. I care what this book says. And you are to also. Because this is what he is saying. This is coming from the God of Israel himself. Look at verse 17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. You see the cycle repeating itself over and over and over. 6 days he rests. 6 days he rests. Work 6 days, he rests. If there's any other pattern that anybody else brings to the table, it's false. There's no other. It has to be according to this system. If anybody else produces a Sabbath that it goes against this system, it's wrong. It can only be this system, brothers and sisters. 6 days, work, rest the seventh. It repeats itself. We're not given any other instructions when we look at that. In particular, I'm talking about the Lunar Sabbath doctrine. That's what I'm talking about. Because the Lunar Sabbath, in case you all didn't know, the Lunar Sabbath doctrine says that the weekly Sabbath day changes every month. That's what they say, every month. So what they say is whenever the new month comes, it changes based upon whenever the new moon starts. So they say it changes days every month, and it's based upon when the new month comes in. So if the new moon starts on a Thursday, then every Thursday that month is the Sabbath. And that's based upon the Lunar Sabbath doctrine. If the new moon comes in on a Tuesday, then under the Lunar Sabbath doctrine, every Tuesday is the Sabbath. Now, we're not going to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We know that those are pagan days. We know that. We understand that. We understand where Sunday came from, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are names that were applied to the first day of the week, the second day of the week, the third day of the week, or the fourth day of the week. But the way the Lunar Sabbath does, if the new moon starts on the fourth day of the week, which let's call it Wednesday, then every Wednesday that month is the Sabbath. That is the Lunar Sabbath doctrine. I'm going to show that to you. Okay? Now, I'm gonna bring up this, let me bring up this PowerPoint so y'all can see this. Okay? Let me go over here to this one here. All right? I'm gonna blow this up a little bit so y'all can see it. Okay? I want to blow it up so you all can see it. I don't know if I can do it that way. Oh, okay, let me do this. Let me go to the program itself. And I'm going to increase the program to about 75%. Yeah, that helps out. If y'all can see that, Coach, yeah, let me know that y'all can see that okay. All right? Let me know that you can see that okay. Because this is... and I want to bring this out so you all can see this, okay? Here's what now I've just got day 1, day 2. This is a Lunar Sabbath calendar. I borrowed this slide so I could show it to you all a little bit better here, okay? So I just took a calendar, and what they show is that the Lunar Sabbath people, they teach that the Lunar Sabbath is always on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th on each month. That's what they say. Whenever the 8th, the 15th, 26th, and 29th day of each month. Now, the Lunar Sabbath people, they teach that whenever the new moon comes in, And notice I don't have the names of the days of the week on this calendar because, again, it was day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. That's why you got your feast days, and it says on the 10th day of the 7th month. The Passover is on the 14th day of the first month. Feast of Unleavened Bread is on the 15th day of the first month. So we know that. Trumpets is on the first day of the 7th month. So you have to understand that, brothers and sisters, that the days of the week in names was never given. That came in when man applied names to the 7-day rotating cycle. That's how that came in. So I want y'all to get that and understand that. Okay? Now, they teach on the Lunar Sabbath. The Lunar Sabbath people teach that the new moon day is a day all by itself. They say that's a day by itself. And they call that the first day of the month. And I'm showing you what Lunar Sabbath people teach because I'm going to show you that that is a false doctrine. And I'm going to show you why it's a false doctrine. So they don't count day 2. Day 1 is a day by itself. Day 2 is day 1. So y'all see what I got? They say that the second day of the first the second day of the month is the first day work day. And then they're going to work 6 days and they're going to rest on the 7th day. And that's why they put the Sabbath on the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd and the 29th of every month. No matter what they're doing, the Lunar Sabbath does that. So if the Lunar Sabbath starts on a Friday, then when you count 8 days, when you get to the 8th day later, it will always be on the Friday. The 15th will always be on the Friday. The 22nd day of the month will always be on the Friday. And the 29th day will always be on the Friday. So for right here, assuming that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Assuming, let's call this Saturday. Let's call it Saturday. If the new moon comes in on a Saturday, then the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd, and the 29th will always be the Sabbaths. If this new moon came in on a Sunday right here, on this day right here, then the 8th would be this day, and that day. So I just want to put that in there so y'all can understand where I'm going at. Again, the Lunar Sabbath people teach that the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th day of each month is always the Sabbath. And then you got 2 transition days because there's no moon. So those days mean nothing. So again, you got the new moon, which is the first day, which is a day by itself. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And then the 8th day is a Sabbath. And then the 15th, 22nd, 29th. And then you got 2 transitional days before the next new moon comes in. And that is how the Lunar Sabbath people, that's what they teach. Now, it sounds good on the surface, brothers and sisters, but it's wrong. It's wrong. And I'm going to show you why. Notice that these transition days, here's the problem. These transition days, they don't count them. They mean nothing. They're just days. They don't count them. They don't rotate and say, okay, well, here's the Sabbath, and then now I got to go day 1, day 2. They don't do that. What they do is when they get to these transitional days, they mean nothing. They'll wait till the new moon starts, which is up here. Then they'll start counting. Day 2 of the month is when they'll start counting day 1 of a 6 days. So you could have 1 day, transition don't count. Transition don't count. That's 2 days. Then you got 3 days. Then you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can go 8 to 9 days without having a Sabbath. And that's why the lunar Sabbath doctrine does not, I repeat, it does not work, brothers and sisters. It does not work. Because when we go back to the scriptures, and it says that it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was afresh. Look at verse 15. 6 days may work be done, but in the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Whosoever doeth any work therein in the Sabbath day shall surely be put to death. For the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath day, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. Look at verse 17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Why? For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was afresh. So this is why it is on a rotating cycle, because he put it on a rotating cycle. This is why the lunar Sabbath does not work. Because when you come to the 8th, 15th, 22nd, you may stay correct right here, this week, that week, that week. But when you get to the end of the month and you don't have a moon because it's dark, you could have 1 or 2 transition days before you come back to the new moon. So that's 3 days. Then you're going to count day 2 as when you're going to start your 7 day count. So that you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. At the end of the month, you're going to have 10 days before you have your next Sabbath. And that's why that doctrine does not work. Because these transition days in the lunar Sabbath teaching, these days do not count. You don't count them. You don't count them as days. They're nothing. They're not even actual days. Even though they're there and they're called transitional days, they don't count them. Although the sun sets and rises and you go out your day, and the next day the sun goes down and you go out your day, in the lunar Sabbath teaching, you don't even count these days at all. That's not scriptures, brothers and sisters. That is not scripture. You can't do it. You can't ignore days as if they never happened. Because you can't count these as days in that doctrine. Because if you count these 1 or 2 days as actual days, when the new moon does come around, you could have only 2 days sometimes in between a Sabbath. And this don't even make sense. 10 days. And that is, and let me say this, sometimes they consider the new moon, sometimes people consider the new moon to be a Sabbath day. In the lunar Sabbath teaching, there are some people that call this the first day of Sabbath. But you won't find no Bible for that, and we're going to go over that tonight. And then there are some who say only the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th is the Sabbath. So what lunar Sabbath people do to avoid having 10 days, they'll tell you that the end of the month, these transition days, you don't even count them as nothing. Brothers and sisters, that is not biblical. I don't care what nobody tells you, it's not biblical. Because you don't see transition days nowhere mentioned in the scriptures at the end of the month. And why you don't see it? Because it's man-made. It's man-made. It don't exist. There are no such things as transitional days. And you will hear Lunar Sabbath people talking that. And all they're trying to do is to fix a lot of the problems that they have in the Lunar Sabbath doctrine. And they can't fix it, brothers and sisters, because at the end of the month, you're going to deal with this problem. When you come to the 29th, you're going to have a problem that you're going to have 1 or 2 transition days. And if they don't exist, what do? Do you work on those days? Do you just go to the beach? What do? Do you work on those days? I mean, there are no instructions. And you know why there's no biblical instruction? Because it's a man-made doctrine. Okay? That's what it is. And again, to the Lunar Sabbath doctrine people, the Sabbath can only fall on the 8th day, the 15th, and the 22nd, and the 29th day of each month. That's it. So whenever they come to the very first day of the month, and remember the first day of the month could fall on a Monday, it could fall on a Tuesday, it don't matter. Whenever that first day of the month comes, they're going to count day 2 as day 1, and they're going to go all the way down and that's what makes the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th a Sabbath. Now, the problem with this is going to be, if anybody could show that the Sabbath is on any other day of the month other than the 8th day of the month, or the 15th day of the month, or the 22nd or the 29th day, if anybody can show that a Sabbath took place, a weekly Sabbath, other than the 8th day, that whole doctrine is gone. That whole doctrine is gone out the door. And I want you to understand that. Again, they teach, the Lunar Sabbath people, that the Sabbath is always, the weekly Sabbath is always on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th. If you understand that, and I know I keep saying it, I want you to put a 7 in the chat room. I want you to put a 7 in the chat room. Now, I'm going to answer a quick question real quick, because True All Day says, if it says it is between him and the children of Israel, how are you saying it is with everyone who sojourns with you? Well, let's go over real quick. Let's go over real quick to Numbers, the 15th chapter, verse 15. One ordinance shall be both for you of the congregation, also for the stranger that sojourneth with you, an ordinance forever in your generations. As ye are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. One law and one manner shall be for you and for the stranger that sojourneth with you. Let's go to Isaiah, the 56th chapter. Verse 3. Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people. I'm going to skip down to verse number 6. And also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in the house of prayer. Their burnt offering and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar, for mine house shall be called the house of prayer for all people. All right. So, if the lunar Sabbath falls on any other day, let me go back over here. If it falls on any other day than the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd and 29th, if a scripture is produced to show that the Sabbath fell on any other day of the month, like the 5th day of the month or the 4th day of the month, if there's a scripture or proof that the Sabbath fell on any other day than the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, that doctrine is gone out the window. Okay? That doctrine is gone. So, this is what we're going to do, brothers and sisters. We're going to go to 1 Samuel. We're going to go 1 Samuel. Let's go to 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter is where we're going to go at. And again, if there's any place in the scriptures, and let me just say this before I go there. Let me go back over here to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Brothers and sisters, if the God of Israel wanted this weekly Sabbath, right here, what we got in verse 3, where it says, these are the feasts of the Lord. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. You should do no work in. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all of your dwellings. Brothers and sisters, if the God of Israel wanted the weekly Sabbath to fall on specific dates, this is where he would have put it at. He would have said on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th day of each month is the Sabbath in all of your dwellings. That's what he would have said. He didn't say that. All he gave you was 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. And that's why we know it's on a repeating level. The Lord, in all of his infinite wisdom, he would have not left us guessing like that. That's why the Lunar Sabbath, that's one fallacy that you can just start right here in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and just say, here's the Sabbath. This is the place that he could have just very easily, with all the instructions that he's given concerning the feast of the Lord, holy convocations, he starts with the weekly Sabbath. This is where he would have put, if that doctrine was truth, this is one place he would have put it. He would have said the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th of each of your months is the Sabbath. He don't do that. So that's point number one. Point number two, if we could show that the Sabbath was on any other day than the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, which is what we're going to do, then that doctrine is out the window. So let's go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel. And I have to do this, brothers and sisters, before I even get into the feast of the Lord, because somebody's going to try to say, well, shouldn't the Sabbath be on the 8th, the 15th, and the new moon? If I don't clear this up now, I'm going to deal with that. And you know what? I'm going to get an email, and I've been getting emails, so I'm going to address it. And I'm going to deal with it right now. Right now, we're going to deal with that Lunar Sabbath false doctrine. Okay? And my brothers over in Trinidad, Tobago, I know I get emails from you all the time. I know that's a very stern doctrine taught on the island there. A lot of you all tune in. Some of y'all I had to block because you come into the chat room and you, no matter what lesson I'm teaching, you start teaching the Lunar Sabbath. And you say, send me emails. Why don't you teach it? Why are you afraid to teach it? Well, we're dealing with it because I'm not going to teach the feast of the Lord and get to this verse and not deal with that lunar Sabbath. So we're going to deal with that right now. So again, if I can show that the Sabbath was on any other day than the 8th, the 15th, 22nd, 29th, I just showed you right here, because he didn't put it right here. So I'm going to show it to you right here. Okay. So listen to let's go back here. Okay. Now remember according to those doctrines, 8, 15, 22nd, 29th, that's the only time it can fall on. And I'm going to show you in 1 Samuel, just one time on a different date, that the lunar Sabbath fell on a different day of the week. I'm going to show it to you. And we're going to deal with that. Look at 1 Samuel, the 20th chapter, verse 5. Verse 5. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go that I may hide myself in the field unto the third day at even. So this was the day before the new moon, okay? The day before the new moon, King Saul hated David, and David knew it, and David told Jonathan, I'm going to hide out in the field. He told Jonathan this on the day before the new moon, that listen, on the morrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king. The king is always used to me being there. But let me go, because I'm going to hide myself, because David knew Saul hated him and his life was in danger. But he said, let me go that I may hide myself in the field unto the third day at even. Okay? Now we're going to jump down to verse number 18. Verse number 18. Verse number 18. And it says this. Then Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. Verse 19. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, come to the place where thou didst hide thyself when the business was in hand, and shalt remain by the stone Ezel. Now, let's go down to verse 24. Verse 24, so David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, check this out, the king sat down to eat meat. It means he sat down and he's getting ready to eat food. Now this is the first day of the month. Now this is the first day of the month, okay? So we got day 1. Now remember, the Lunar Sabbath people teach that the 8th day of that month, and the 15th and the 22nd and the 29th day is a Sabbath. But I'm going to show you that a Sabbath occurred right here in this story, not on the 8th day. Check this out. Look at verse 25. And it says, and the king sat down upon his seat, as at other times, even upon a seat by the wall. When Jonathan rose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Verse 26 says, Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought, Something hath befallen him, meaning David, and he is not clean. Surely he is not clean. Now watch this. Now it came to pass on the morrow, that's the day after the new moon, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat, to eat? Neither yesterday nor today. Now again, this is the second day of the first month. Now according to the Bible, this was the second day of the month. So this proves that New Moon Day is on the first day of the month. We don't have no problem with that. And on the second day, David still didn't come to eat. And Saul is mad at David and because he didn't show up the first day of the month. So we know the first day of the month is the new moon. And it's a new month because the new moon is a new month. And he knows that David didn't come on the second day, so he's really, really upset that David has not showed up. Now we're going to skip down to verse 34. Let's go down to verse 34, okay? Now, so Jonathan rose from the table in fierce anger and did eat no meat the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. Verse 35. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out into the field, listen to this, at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him. Now remember, brothers and sisters, they had already planned to meet on the third day of the month. And remember, Jonathan told him about this little lad. So here it is. He come to pass in the morning. Now it's the third day. It's the third day of the month. Okay? Let's go back and look at that. Verse 34. Because when Saul was upset that David wasn't there, he wanted to kill him. And Jonathan, let me look at verse 33. Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to kill David, to slay David. So Jonathan rose up from the table in fierce anger and did eat no meat. He didn't have an appetite on the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, for his father had done him shame. Now in the morning, brothers and sisters, this is now the third day of the month. Keep in mind, the Lunar Sabbath people teach that the 8th day, the 15th, and the 22nd, and 29th is the Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath. Now let's continue to look. It came to pass that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David. We know that according to verse 5, that was going to be on the third day of the month, and with a little lad with him. Now we're going to skip down to verse 42. Listen to this. And Jonathan said to David, go in peace, for as much as we have sworn, both of us, in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord be between me and thee, and between thy seed and thy seed forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. Now David left, brothers and sisters. He left. Now we're going to pick it up in 1 Samuel chapter 21, and we're going to look at verse 1. We're going to pick it up right here. Listen to this. Then came David to Noab, to Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech, y'all know I tear these names up, was afraid at the meeting of David. Okay? And he said unto him, why art thou alone, and no man with thee? Verse 2 says, and David said unto Ahimelech the priest, the king hath commanded me a business, and have said unto me, let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee. And I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. So what David did, he told the priest, Saul had sent me to do some work. Saul had sent me to do some business. But in all actuality, David is not being truthful. David is on the run. He's on the run, brothers and sisters. Okay? Now listen to this. Look at what David says next. Verse 3. Now therefore, what is under thy hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there is present. Because David is asking because he's hungry. His men are hungry. because they have not eaten, because brothers and sisters, they were on the run. They were on the run. Look at verse number 4. And the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread under my hand, but there is hollow bread. If the young men have kept themselves at least from women, okay? So now what he's saying here is we don't have no regular bread. I don't have no common bread. That's what he meant by common bread. All I have is the holy bread coming out of the temple, because that's what priests do. That's where they are. They're in the temple. And he tells David, only if your men have kept themselves. Okay? Now let's keep going. Now, by the way, the priests are supposed to eat this bread. By the way, they were supposed to eat it. But he told David, I will let you eat it only if those brothers have kept themselves clean. And that's important to know, brothers and sisters, because now keep in mind, this is on the third day. Okay? And the priests, I want to read that. Now, therefore, is on the hand, give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand of what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread under my hand, but there is hollow bread. Hollow bread is holy bread, brothers and sisters. And he says, if the young men, look at this right here, if they have kept themselves at least from women, okay, I want you to look at verse number 5. Verse number 5, okay? This is what David says. And David answered the priest and said unto him, of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days, okay? Why did he say that? Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out. Came out from where? Came out from hiding. Because remember, he met Jonathan before, the day before the new moon. And they make an arrangement for Jonathan to come on the 3rd day to give him confirmation whether or not Saul was trying to kill him or not. And as they agreed, he came on the 3rd day. Now David goes in. He's on the 3rd day. He's talking to the priest. And what does the priest say? David's hungry. Give me some of that bread. All I got is common bread. I don't have no common bread. All I have is hollow bread. But we're hungry. Only if the young men have kept themselves from at least from women. And David said, of a truth, we have not, I can vouch, ain't nobody been around no women. We have not known any women. They had not known their wives or been into them for the past 3 days since I came out. Okay? And listen to what he says. And the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. Okay? Now this is important. Let me just show you that again. These 3 days, the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it was sanctified this day in the vessel. Now look at verse 6. So the priest gave him what kind of bread? Hollow bread. For there was no bread there but the shewbread that was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Okay, so that was the only bread that the priest had, was the hollow bread. And David showed up, brothers and sisters, when he was changing the bread. Now remember, this was the 3rd day of the month when this happened. If y'all understand that, put a 3 in the chat room. If you understand it. I know I'm going over that part and over that part again. But if you understand that, I want you to get that. If you understand that, I want you to get that. All right, there you go. And true all day, I know you have a problem with the stranger being who I call the stranger. We get that. So please don't teach that in the chat room. I got it. So everybody can understand. True all day don't believe the strangers are the Gentiles. He believes strangers are the lost sheep of Israel. We don't teach that true all day, but we got you. Okay? All right. We know that there are different type of strangers, but we gonna stay on this right now. I want us to concentrate on this. Okay, I got all those threes in the chat room. Good. Now, according to the law, brothers and sisters, according to the law, when do you change the showbread? See, this is gonna be important, because again, David answered the priest and said unto him, of the truth, women have been kept from us from these 3 days. What 3 days? Since he's been hiding. We know he's been hiding the first 3 days of the month. I came out. The vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So what did the priest do in verse 6? The priest gave him hollow bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread. That was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. So there's a day when the showbread is exchanged out. Okay? We know that this is on this, in this passage, this was on the 3rd day. But let's find out, when do you change that bread out? Let's go to Leviticus, the 24th chapter. Leviticus, the 24th chapter. Let's go to Leviticus, the 24th chapter. And we're going to find out, when is that showbread taken away. We're going to go to Leviticus, the 24th chapter, verse 5. Okay? And this is what it says. And thou shalt take fine flour, and bake 12 cakes thereof. 2/10 dills shall be in 1 cake. So this is the showbread, or the showbread, however you want to call it. And thou shalt sit them in 2 rows, 6 on a row, upon the pure table before the Lord. Okay? Verse 7. And thou shalt put pure frankincense upon each row, that it may be on the bread for a memorial, even an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So here we see how the showbread is prepared and set up. Now, the question is, how often do they have to do this? Look at verse number 8. Every Sabbath he shall set it in order before the Lord continually. Okay, being taken from the children of Israel by an everlasting covenant. So we see, brothers and sisters, that the old showbread has to be replaced with new showbread every Sabbath day in the temple. So the showbread was changed on the Sabbath. So based upon this, we know that David, on the 3rd day of the month, he came into the temple on the Sabbath day. And we also know that the 3rd day was the 3rd day of the month. We know that it was the Sabbath because the priest was changing the showbread. And we read here that the showbread is to be changed every Sabbath. Not the 8th day of the month. It's not the 8th day of the month. I'm showing you a Sabbath on the 3rd day of the month, brothers and sisters. This by itself, along with Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, not mentioning that the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th of each month is the Sabbath. And right here, we know that the showbread is changed out every Sabbath. And we know that David went there on the 3rd day of the month, which was a Sabbath. Okay? So we know that the Sabbath does not always fall on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th of each month. So therefore, this evidence alone, the lunar Sabbath is wrong. David came on the 3rd day of the month, and we know that that was a Sabbath when the showbread is being changed. And we know David came there on the Sabbath because that's when you change the showbread. And again, that was the 3rd day of the month, and that had to be a Sabbath. And we know this is even more verified. We're going to go to another scripture and we're going to verify this. You know, some people say, let every fact be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 12th chapter we're going to go to, because Christ himself verified this. Listen to this. Verse 1. At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the cornfield, and his disciples were hungered and began to pluck the ears of corn to eat. Verse 2 says, when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. So now they told Jesus, you and your people are breaking the Sabbath. Why did they say he was breaking the Sabbath? Because they were plucking ears of corn because they were hungry. And he tells them, the scribes and Pharisees, you and your disciples, y'all breaking the Sabbath. Y'all breaking the Sabbath. Let's look at what Jesus said to him. In verse 3, but he said unto them, have ye not read what David did when he was a hungered, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of God, and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests? Now, why did Jesus use this example? And here's why. Because David did that on the Sabbath day, just like the disciples were plucking corn on this Sabbath day. And again, it was the weekly Sabbath. And when David did it, it was on the 3rd day of the month when he ate the showbread. It wasn't the 8th day of the month, the 15th or the 22nd or the 29th. It was the 3rd day of the month. So that proves, brothers and sisters, that lunar Sabbath doctrine is false. That's what it proves. It proves that it's false. Okay? Now, I could almost stop there and just leave this alone, and it could be done away with. It really can be. But I would rather, if y'all got what I said, put another 7 in the chat room. If you understand everything that we just lined up, because I want to deal with this, because I don't want to start teaching the plan to salvation until we clear up when a Sabbath is. It's on a rotating basis, 6 days, Sabbath day. And I cannot get to this unless I deal with this lunar Sabbath doctrine. So if you got me so far, put a 7. If you understand that, it's not me. I read the scriptures. I proved it. I proved it. I showed it to you. That this lunar Sabbath, man, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, 29th is bad doctrine. Because if you can show that a Sabbath was on any other day than those days, that a weekly Sabbath took place on any other day, then that throws that doctrine out. Okay? So we just showed you that the 3rd day, David was going into the temple, and he took the showbread as the priest was changing it out. We took you to Leviticus, the 24th chapter, and showed you when the showbread is done, every Sabbath. Okay, so we got that. Great. Now, I'm going to show you another one. And we're going to go to Numbers. We're going to go to the book of Numbers. Let's pick it up in the 11th chapter. Numbers 11th chapter. Okay? Let me go over here. Now, let me read this. And it came to pass. Now, this is Numbers, the 10th chapter, verse 11. If you can put that in there, Coach, Numbers 10 and verse 11. That's where we're going at now. Because I want to show you, I want to, just take the time tonight just to deal with that, okay? All right, Numbers, the 10th chapter, verse 11. And it came to pass on the 20th day of the second month. Now check this out. I'm going to show you now, dealing with this lunar Sabbath. And it came to pass on the 20th day of the second month in the second year that the cloud was taken up from off the tabernacle of the testimony. Verse 12 says, and the children of Israel took their journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. So what we're looking at, the children of Israel started traveling on the 20th day of the month, and they ended their journey in the wilderness of Paran. But now what we got to see is how long was this journey, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to take it all the way down to verse 33, Numbers 10 and 33. This is what it says. And they departed from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them in the 3 days' journey to search out a resting place for them. Look at verse 34, because we know in verse 11 they left out on the 20th day of that month. Somebody put down 20th. Put down 20. If you got that, I'm going to go back up to verse number 11. If you got me on that, I want you to make a mental note of that. That they came to pass on the 20th day they started this journey. Okay? And the children of Israel took their journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and they rested in Paran. Thank you all putting that in there. I just want to make sure you got it. Now we're looking at how long did this journey take. And they departed from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey, and the ark of the covenant went before them in the 3 days' journey to search out a resting place. So now in verse 33, it was a 3 days' journey. So in other words, it took them 3 days to get to their destination. That means they traveled on the 20th. The second day they was traveling on the 21st, and they arrived on the third day, which is on the 22nd. Okay? So they started off on the 20th, and it took them 3 days. So the 20th is 1 day. The 21st is 2 days, and the 22nd is 3 days. Now keep in mind, the Lunar Sabbath people teach that the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd and 29th are Sabbaths. Okay? Let me see if I can bring up a slide here to see if y'all can see this. Let me go right here. I'm going to go to the next slide. There you go. Okay? So you can see they started their journey on the 20th. That was day 1. The second day of their journey was on the 21st day of the month. And on the third day is the 22nd. Now I put the word Sabbath there for a reason, because I want to show you that the lunar Sabbath people teach that the 22nd is a Sabbath. And we're going to examine this. Okay? Now, here's the problem. When they got to their destination, they had to set up a camp. They had to set up their camp. And if the 22nd is the Sabbath, they had to do a whole bunch of work, brothers and sisters, to set up shop. And if it was the 22nd, the Lunar Sabbath people teach that that's the Sabbath. How are they going to set up shop and do all that work? How are they going to set up shop when they get there? And how are they going to put up all of those settle down? They're not going to just get there on the 22nd and just don't do nothing. But according to the Lunar Sabbath doctrine, if the 22nd is the Sabbath, they can't do nothing. So if they started their journey on the 20th of the month, as we read that right here. Let's go back to it. Let's go back to verse number 11. On the 20th day of the second month, the cloud was taken up, and the children of Israel took their journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in Paran. Okay? Now, in verse 33, it tells you when they got there. Listen to this. And they departed from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey. 3 days' journey, brothers and sisters. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them in the 3 days' journey to search out the resting place. And that's why I put up this here to show you. Let me go back to it. I want to go back to it right here. If their journey started on the 20th, that's 1 day. The 21st would be 2 days. And the third day would be the 22nd of the month, when the Lunar Sabbath people say it's a Sabbath. Okay? And if they could not do the physical labor on the Sabbath, they would have been out in the open. They would have been out in the opening, brothers and sisters, and that would have been a problem because they cannot do any work on the Sabbath. Remember, they can't do no work on the Sabbath. So now they're getting there on the 22nd, and they're stuck. They're out in the opening. They're just sitting there. They're going to sit there the whole day because they can't do nothing. Because remember that the man who was gathering sticks, let's go to the 15th chapter. Let's just go up 5 chapters. Let's go up 5 chapters. Let me bring that up. Let's go up 5 chapters. Y'all remember this story. Let's go up to Numbers chapter 15, and we're going to go to verse number, I think it's in verse 32. Listen to this, verse 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. And they put him in ward. That means they put him in jail, because it was not declared what should be done to him. So here they is, they found this man gathering sticks on the Sabbath, breaking the Sabbath, and they didn't know what to do. Look at verse 35. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died as the Lord commanded Moses. So this man, brothers and sisters, was put to death for simply just gathering sticks on the Sabbath. But he's going to turn around and let all of Israel on the 22nd to set up camp on the 22nd of the month, which the Lunar Sabbath people say is the Sabbath. He's going to let them do that? No. Why? Because that is false doctrine. The 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd, and the 29th of each month is not a mandated Sabbath. It's not Those are the fixed Sabbaths of the month as the lunar doctrine, the lunar Sabbath doctrine teaches. Okay? So, because you can't do no work. Remember, you can't do no work on the Sabbath. Y'all remember that? Let's go back to Exodus. You can't do no work on the Sabbath. Let's go back to Exodus, one of the verse scriptures that we read earlier, and we're going to go down to verse number 14. And this is what it says. Ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Okay? So no work is to be done on the Sabbath day. You can't have the whole nation of Israel setting up a camp on the Sabbath day. And we saw that Israel got to their destination on the 22nd of the month. And they would not have been allowed to set up the camp if the 22nd was a Sabbath. And the Lord wouldn't have put them in that predicament. He would have had them leave either before, so he wouldn't have put them in that predicament. And all of that shows is that the lunar Sabbath doctrine is wrong. Okay? That's it, brothers and sisters. Now I want to deal with you know what? Let's add a third one in there. Let's it's 10:30. Let's add a third one in there. Let's go to Genesis, the first chapter, and we're going to go to verse 16. This is one Brother Julius likes right here. I remember one time Brother Julius and I was talking about this. Check this out. Listen to this. We're going to go to creation. Look at verses 16 and 19 tells us that the moon was created, brothers and sisters, on the fourth day of the week. Okay? On the fourth day of the week. Now, let me go over here to this. Let me go up to my slides and let me go to my next slide. Okay? Can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? Okay. Yeah, let me do that right there. Okay? Because we're going to the week of that the earth was created. Okay? Now, if the moon was created on the fourth day, okay? The moon was created on the fourth day. The question is, did those first 3 days when there was no moon, I'm dealing with the transition now. Y'all know what I was talking about? When they get to the end of the month, they have some transition days, and they say those are not days at all. But look at when the moon was created on the fourth day. You can find that. Let's read that real quick. Verse 16, Genesis 1 and 16. And God made 2 greater lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Okay? Look at verse number 19. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So you see when he did that? Let me read that, verse 17. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Now, when was that? The evening and the morning were the fourth day. So we know that the moon was created on the fourth day. Let's go back and look at this diagram that we got. So the question is, does that mean day 1, day 2, day 3 were no days? No, of course not. And this takes us right back to that transitional day when before the The Lunar Sabbath people, before they get into the new moon, at the end of the month, they have some transition days. Let me go up here and show that to you real quick. They got some transition days. Let me go up to the very first slide. Y'all remember these transition days? At the end of the month, before the new moon starts, they don't even count these as days. And you could have as many as 2 days before you start counting day one until you get to the new moon. So these days don't count as nothing. So now you got 1 day, even in the morning, sun went down. That's a 424 hour. So you got 1 day, 2 days. Then when the new moon comes, it starts, because this is at the end of the month, and then you're going to start back over. So when you get here to the first day, that's the new moon day. And the Lunar Sabbath people don't count this as day one because they say that the new moon day is a day by itself. So now you got 1, 2, 3, then you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days until you can start to have your Sabbath again. And these transition days is to say that these days, well, we don't even count those. Because I've asked Lunar Sabbath people, well, what are y'all going to do with these days down here? Well, they're not days. We don't count them. What do you mean you don't count them? Well, we don't count those as days. Well, let's look at what the Lord did at creation. Let's see if he counted them. Let's go to the next slide. Let me see here. Let me go down to the next one. Right here. So he says, and the Lord created heaven and earth. In 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. So he counted them. He recognized them. So why don't the transitional people recognize them as days? You know why? Because that lunar doctrine is false. It creates a problem. Brothers and sisters. It creates a very, very big problem. So I can't deal with Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And there's a whole bunch of other scriptures that I can deal with to show you the lunar Sabbath don't exist. Because remember, he says on Pentecost, on the morrow after the Sabbath, you shall number 7 weeks. And at the morrow after the Sabbath, that's the first of the week. And then it says 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. And the morrow after the 7th Sabbath is day 49. Well, when you go to that transitional month, you're going to have more than 50 days. Because you're going to have 1 or 2 days at the end of the month, and then the new moon day that you don't count, because you say it's a day by itself. How you going to have 7 Sabbaths, and tomorrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you have numbered 50 days? That's another reason why that lunar Sabbath doctrine don't work. It don't work because there's no Bible for it. I'm going to deal with one other thing while we're in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. I'm going to go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, while we're on the subject, because tonight, brothers and sisters, we're going to be taking our time dealing with the plan of salvation. But I got to deal with some of this stuff before. We got to do some house cleaning with some of this stuff before we even move forward. We got to deal with that lunar Sabbath, and we got to deal with this other issue is, when does the Sabbath start? The Sabbath starts, brothers and sisters, at sundown. A day starts at sundown. From sundown to sundown, that's how long your Sabbath. That's when a day starts. When the sun goes down, it ends a day and it starts a day. That's how it is. The evening and the morning were the first day. That's it. You got people who teaching that, well, the day don't start until the sun is up. You got some people come Friday night, it's not Sabbath to them. On Saturday, on the 7th day, when the sun is up, Now it's Sabbath. So until that sun comes up, the day don't exist. The day hasn't started. And I got to deal with that before I even deal with Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, to show you the plan to salvation. And I'm going to use one scripture. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to use one scripture to just knock that doctrine out. Let's go to John, the 20th chapter. John, the 20th chapter. And we're going to read that. The first day of the week. I'm going to read it slow. All the Lunar Sabbath people, I want you to get this. All the people who think that a day don't start until the sun is up. All the people who say, I'm not starting my Sabbath on the 6th day when the sun goes down, on Friday, so-called Friday, the 6th day. I'm not going to start my Sabbath. My Sabbath is not going to start until the next day on the 7th day when the sun is up. That's when the day starts. Let's deal with that. The first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early. When was it? The first day of the week. When was it? Early. Look at this. When it was yet dark. Yet dark means, brothers and sisters, the sun wasn't even up. The sun hadn't even rose. It wasn't even, it's dark. It's dark. And it's the first day of the week. So if a day don't start until the sun is up, why is it the scriptures is saying it's the first day of the week when it was yet dark? Okay? These doctrines, I don't know where they come from. And as soon as we come into the awakening, we grab stuff because we don't want to be like nobody else. And we're not going to be like that. We're going to create our own stuff. And there is no doctrine for the Lunar Sabbath. None. None. Because we proved to you that a Sabbath in 1 Samuel was on the 3rd day of the month when David went into the priest, grabbed the shewbread, and we took you back to Leviticus, the 24th chapter, and showed you that the priest had to exchange the shewbread every Sabbath. And then we confirmed that by taking you to Matthew, when Jesus and his disciples was shedding corn on the Sabbath, and they were getting on him and saying, y'all broke the Sabbath. And he said, don't y'all remember David and those that were with him, how he went into the temple and took shewbread and ate it because they was a hungered. So brothers and sisters, tomorrow night we're going to pick this back up. And I had the first plan to salvation. Let's go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And we need to go back there and just read that because this is the plan to salvation. Leviticus 23, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. The first thing he wants us to know regarding the plan to his salvation is the Sabbath. The Sabbath, we observe the Sabbath not only, brothers and sisters, because it's the day that he rested on, but it's also the day that the Lord is going to return and set up his kingdom right here on this earth on the 7th day. We're going to get into that tomorrow night. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. It's an holy convocation. You should do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. It's a rotating cycle. 6 days work be done, 7 days the Sabbath. 6 days work is done, the 7th day is the Sabbath. And that's why I had to deal with that false doctrine of the Lunar Sabbath. Now, that's my lesson for tonight. Tomorrow night, we're going to get back into the plan to salvation. We're going to show you why the Sabbath is the first thing that they were given and why that starts off the plan. It tells a story. You must understand Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, as a plan. It's in sequential order. It's a story. And we're going to get more into that as we come. I want to thank all of you all for being in the chat room tonight. I want to thank all of you all for coming over, being in class. Short class tonight, wasn't it? Yeah, it was an hour and almost 45 minutes. So that's pretty long, okay? If you understand the lesson, if you got it tonight, hit that like button. Hit the like button. If you got it, hit that like button. And or say, we got it. No, type in the chat room, no Lunar Sabbath. No Lunar Sabbath doctrine. If you got it. Amen. If you got it, put that in there. I need to know that you got it. If you have any questions on what I just brought out, you can put a Q in front of your name. Okay? If you have a question on what I just taught, there you go. Jansen, no Lunar Sabbath. K. Woods, no Lunar Sabbath. Faith and Hope, no Lunar Sabbath. Greetings, Brother Michael Spears. Glad that you're here with us tonight. Sister Stephanie, no Lunar Sabbath. Ryan, no Lunar Sabbath. We got it. Absolutely. We have killed that doctrine with the Word of God tonight. So nobody can be mad at me. You got to be mad at the Word. Sister Barbara Benton got it. No Lunar Sabbath. And if y'all haven't heard of that doctrine, you will. You will. You stay in this walk long enough, somebody's going to say and drop you that Lunar Sabbath. You got what it takes to debunk that teaching. Okay? All right. If there's any questions on anything that we have taught regarding this initial preface of the lesson, you can put a Q and we can go from there. But I'd rather for it to be on this lesson tonight. All right? All right? All right? All right. Okay, brothers and sisters, I want to take it that there's no questions. We're gonna try to start and just keep you about an hour 45 minutes each one of these nights, because these lessons are very important. I don't want to wear your mind out, brothers and sisters. I don't want to wear you out. And this is very important that you get this. So I just want to say that to you. Thank you all for being here. Thank our moderators. Shout out to Brother Mike Spears. Shout out to our moderator, Sister Coach. There's Elizabeth Mack, Barbara Benton, Tanya Huda. Thank you for being here. Landon Johnson, Elizabeth Mack, Alva Ellis, thank you for being here. Brother Brian Johnson in Homestead. Sister Stephanie McMillan. There's Brother Ryan. Mariah, I sent you an email, my sister. I sent you an email, and your information was given to Riverdale. They're going to send you an email of the information in Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm going to talk to the brothers, and they do a show that's going to start airing. It's called Stick to the Script. And we're going to start showing their teaching on this network every Sunday, starting this coming Sunday. And you'll be able to meet some of the brothers when you see them during their lesson. So their lesson is going to be rebroadcasted on this channel, bhgtv, every Sunday, starting this coming Sunday. Sharp brothers out there. They know the word. They're very sharp. They've got a very sharp administrator out there. They've got several good teachers out there. They're doing a lot with that program they got. They are closed for the time being due to COVID. But we getting your information over there so that you can have it. So when this thing is lifted, you will enjoy the class over there, okay? You will enjoy the class. Brother Paul, there's Brother Mike again, Faith and Hope, K. Woods, Jansen Williams, Paul, Ryan, I think I got everybody else here. Brother Carl's in the room. All of you all. There's Brother Julius. Brother Julius will be with us on Thursday nights. He's going to be Adrian Mason. I think I got Tanya Huda earlier. I think everybody else we got, brothers and sisters. So that being said, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I'm going to get up out of here. Brother JD Israel, our reader, is in the room tonight. True All Day says Genesis 17 and 12, among you are bought with money. Among you are brought with money. That he's talking about the Gentiles that are among you are brought with money. Thank you, True All Day. All right. I just saw Evelyn Curry. Thank you, Pastor, for helping me understand. All praises to our Most High, Evelyn. From the Facebook side, Evelyn is from the Facebook side. When I see people from the Facebook side, brothers and sisters, where's my all the stuff I do for the people from the Facebook side? I got to do this. I always like to just give them a big applause. Let's do that again. I didn't hear that. Let me see. All right. There's Sister Evelyn Curry from the Facebook side. Thank you, Sister Evelyn, for coming in from the Facebook side. We are simulcasting on Facebook and YouTube at the same time right now. On Facebook and YouTube right now. All right. As always, we're going to play a song tonight. I don't know which one I'm going to play. Let me see. What song am I going to play tonight to get y'all out of here? The group that you heard earlier was Three Before Joy. That's who that was. You know who we have not played in a long time is my sister out in California. We have not played her in a long time, and that is Anna Lisa Jack. I'm looking for her song. I wanna play that tonight. Let me find her. Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna play Sister Anna Lisa Jack tonight as we get out of here, brothers and sisters. While I'm setting her up, I want to let you know that we have some great things coming. Starting this week, we're going to have Brothers in the Vineyard and Stick to the Script every Sunday night. Those are two new shows coming to Bethel BHGTV. So on Sunday nights, starting at 8 o'clock, you're going to have two good shows coming on. One is from Riverdale, Brother Jeremiah and his team, and Brother Ed Robinson. Those guys, they're going to be they got a show called Brothers in the Vineyard. Every Sunday night, they will be right here, rebroadcasted. We're going to be creating a commercial so you can know more about that. And then before them will be Stick to the Script, starting this Sunday at 8 o'clock. It's going to run all the way through, probably like a 2-hour show between both of those shows. You're going to enjoy that. Brothers in the Vineyard, I watched it. It's these brothers are just relaxing and just talking about the word, just chopping up. You know, you just be sitting around and you just be chopping it up. You just be freestyling that word and just talking about it, talking about the goodness and different topics every Sunday night. That's going to be right here at BHGTV. You don't want to miss it. And Stick to the Script. And that's going to be every Sunday night, Sister Mariah. So Sister Mariah, tune in, because you'll be able to meet some of the brothers out in Arizona, some of the teachers out there you'll be able to meet right here before you even meet them in Arizona. You'll be able to meet them here. And again, the sisters at Riverdale, they got your email. They're going to be sending you an email. Thank you for reaching out, by the way. All right, brothers and sisters, here's Annalisa. I am her. Father, dear God, we want to thank you tonight for the word that you've given us to give to your people. Continue to protect us in this pandemic. Continue to let your face shine upon us. Let the words of our mouth, the meditation of our hearts, let it be always acceptable in thy sight. Be our strength and our Redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. Peace and blessings to you, brothers and sisters. We'll see you tomorrow night right here. Tune in. God bless you. Stay safe.
You're where I go. You're where I go. When I don't know what to do or what to do. Can't figure it out. I run to you like I always do. Cause you lead me to safety. You're where I go. When I don't know what to do, can't figure it out. I'm run to you like I always do. Cause you lead me to safety. You lead me through the windy storm. You guide me when I'm alone. You restore me right back where I was. You brought me to safety. You lead me through the windy. You guide me when I'm alone. You restore me right back to where I was. Oh, you brought me through. I love you. I love you. And I'm thankful, yeah. You've been my friend. And you always been. Oh, you brought me through. Oh, I love you. I love you. And I'm grateful, yeah. You've been my friend. And you always been. You brought me through. Yeah. I love you. I love to call your name, yeah. You've been my friend, and you've always been. You've been my friend, and you've always been. You've been my friend, and you've always been. You brought me through all these. Never could make it without you, Lord. You've been my only hope. Yeshua, my best friend. I get a day because of you. Never no one like you. Always been the same, never been changed. And that's me. Lift up your eyes Lay down your works, they mean nothing. Present yourself as a sacrifice, holy unto the Father of lights. Don't fall away, don't fall away. Climbing to reach the mountaintop, we forget it's your footstool. Striving in vain to get what already belongs to you. All my desires, they're sitting at your feet. Oh, but we must learn to seek your face. Oh, don't fall away. If your grip is slipping and your feet start tripping, steady the boat, steady your hope. If your grip is slipping and your feet start tripping, stay in the race. Steady your faith. If your grip is slipping and your feet start tripping, steady the boat, steady your hope. If your grip is slipping and your feet start tripping, stay in the race, steady your faith. Oh, cast down some, hope you win in Christ alone. No matter what may come or go, hold on to the faith you know. Oh, cast down some, hope you win Christ alone. No matter what may come or go, hold on to the truth you know. Ooh, yeah. Don't you give up, no. He's always faithful.
No, I didn't come to tone it down. No, I didn't come to tone it down. I didn't come to bring comfortability. In fact, I came to shake a thing or two. Shake it up. This is what you do when you've been renewed. I can't sit still and I can't tell you how you should move. All I'm saying is he's deserving, and I'm sure he's made a way for you. Nothing's gonna hold me back from lifting my voice or waving my hands. No matter what the circumstance, his love is where my focus is. 2020 never take my green eyes off of him. Yeah, that's nice. Now give it all you got. Take a step to the side and put your hands up high. Say yeah, 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 yeah. I think you heard us this time. Come on. Take a step to the